gracious, man. What a cluster. This is happening. I hear them at night and even into the morning. Look at them all. Holy cow. Oh, we got fights going on. So it's, what time is it? I don't know. It's like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and it's still in the 20s. We're supposed to get some snow flurries the next couple hours. It's going to be cold. Today, just thought I'd pop up a quick video, something kind of random. But if you have chickens or if you have a mouse problem, I'll show you a really good solution that's easy, that you don't have to worry about. You can just leave it out for a week. And especially when you have snow or bad weather, this thing works really well. If you've got a barn, if you've got a garage, you'll catch multiple mice. If you have rats, it'll catch rats. If you have a snake problem, you can use it for snakes. It's a great little product. I'll show you the raccoon traps that I use. If you have raccoons, if you have a lot of raccoons and you have chickens, you have a problem. We spent the past year and a half taking down this population. 13 months, we took out 142 raccoons out of this back property. It was infested. Now it's actually down reasonable, but I've seen a couple of them up on that upper field, so I'm setting a trap or two up there. What else? Then I'll talk about the new chickens. We have 2 new chickens that we adopted from our neighbors that we're gonna free range them, but the problem is their chickens that they were gonna free range are friendly with their dogs. They hang out with their dogs. So when they see another dog, you know, the dogs in this area, they're probably not used to seeing free range chickens, and it's more like lunch than it is a free range chicken. So anyways, I told them they had 2 roosters and 2 hens. I told them I'd take the 2 hens. They're young. They're only about 5 months old. But I did not want the roosters, man. Those roosters are loud. My chickens are loud enough. Last thing I need is a couple of roosters up there just screaming. If you have chickens, you have all this feed around all the time. And there's a good chance that you have either mice or rats. We have mice. We don't have rats here. We always have mice. It's a farm property. You're always going to have mice. But I have found, instead of dealing with all these stupid little mouse traps that I've been dealing with that freeze up, and then I ordered, have you ever seen the bucket system where the mice crawl up the ladder and they fall into the bucket? That's not catching anything. This right here, believe it or not, is probably one of the best snake traps, mouse traps that you can buy. And it's actually a snake trap. We will put these out around the chicken houses just in case a black snake comes over around. That's really all I care about. We lost 1 chicken early on to a black snake, and that's because we didn't have our fine mesh up. Anyways, but this right here, all you simply do is you lift this up. You take a sticky pad, I'll show you here in a second, and then I'm going to put some grain and some peanut butter in the middle, and you can just leave it there. It'll catch if you've got lizards, if you've got mice, if you've got any kind of rodent problem. These things are phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And then all you have to do is just pull your pad out, fold it up, and throw it away. So let me get one and show you. All right, so if you're going to set this up for mice and rats, pull off your sticky pad. Put your sticky pad halfway in, and then what I do, if it's for mice and rodents, I like to tape it in. If it's for snakes, I don't take it, because if a snake gets on here, you want to be able to get it out of here easily and not worry about that, especially if you got a copperhead or something. This is actually a scratch grain. You don't want to put too much because you don't want it rolling all around. Oh, come on, peanut butter. That right there is an irresistible combination for mice. Absolutely irresistible. So I'll put this out, and generally I've already caught 5 or 6 mice up there, and but they're not real active right now, but they are digging. I can see these little mouse holes. They're digging, they're tunneling way under my fence, getting into the chicken coop for that feed. So I'm going to put at least one of these out. I may even put one on the other side of the coop, but man, this thing works great. And then all you do is just close it down, and that's it. And then you just pick it up and look at it. If you're in the summertime and you have, let's say you have snakes or something, you just got to put in the bait that the snakes want. So maybe it's eggs, maybe it's crickets, you know, whatever it is. You'll want to put something in here that the snakes want. But for mice and rats, this is fantastic. So if you got a mouse or rat problem, get you one of these. It's great. I've caught several of these mice, and I'm just going to put it right there. See this little hole here? That's what I'm talking about. And then I've got a hole where they're burrowing and making nests. Right here. See it? So they'll burrow way down. They'll burrow 6-12 inches under any fencing you got to get into this chicken feed. But that works really well. I gotta say, as far as all weather, not having to worry about it, just leave it there. You come back in a week and you'll have 6 or 7 mice in there, and yeah, it's gonna stink, but you just pull out that board and replace it. I had these little mouse traps, and I've had all kinds of little mouse traps, and they're a pain in the butt, and they get snow covered and frozen. They don't work. I've had this thing out here for a week, haven't caught a single anything in it. It's just, that's not what the mice are doing. They're not forced to climb up that ladder. They're actually just trying to go right in here. Well, if they smell something that's even better over here, that's what I want them to go to. So in my last video, I showed you the new adopted chickens. And see the light colored chicken right there? And there's another one over there, and they're gonna be running away from the other chickens. The first day that they got here, we had a real kind of serious pecking order type thing going on. But yesterday was a little bit better, and today it seems a lot more calm. So one thing I've done is I've actually given the chickens stuff to occupy themselves. So you can see I came out here, I built these 3 little ledges, and they'll perch on anything. But I built these up so that these other chickens can hide on it or they can run. And then I took 3 bales of pine straw. So if you want to drive your chickens crazy and keep them occupied, throw down a bale of pine straw, just cut the strings, pull the strings out because you don't want them eating the strings. And they'll sit here and they will dig and dig and dig and dig, and that's just what chickens do. So, hey Johnny, how are you? Hey buddy. It's actually Joanna, don't peck at him. It's actually Joanna now, but here's an interesting story on them. So I don't believe they've been in they were free range. They've never been in a chicken house at night. So every night, my chickens, right at sunset, all know they all go in that house and that door closes. Well, it was cold. It got really cold the other night. So I pull up my cameras. I have a camera here and I have a camera here. And I'm like, okay, in 15 minutes, that door closes. So I pulled it up, and those 2 were sitting out here on this ledge. They weren't inside. So I walked all the way up here. My UTV was already away, and I didn't want to make the noise. And I grabbed one of them, put her inside of there, and she stayed in. The other one, I had to chase around a little bit, finally got her, shoved her in there. She went inside there. She stayed in. The door closed. And then last night, I pulled up my camera, and sure enough, about 6 o'clock, all the chickens were in there, even the 2 new ones. It's amazing how they learn. It really is. They're not smart, but they're not dumb. And it's that how they learn. I mean, there's no other parents around. That's what will amaze you about chickens. There's no adult birds. How do these birds know how to take a dust bath? How do they dig in and take a dust bath? How do they know to go inside here and lay eggs inside of here? How do they know that every night they need to be in here at a certain time? I mean, it's really cool. It's really cool how they actually learn, and it's just instinctive. I know, honey. I need to get some more eggs from you. I don't want my eggs to freeze, so I hear a bird inside there doing something. So I had to go out to the shed and get some more egg cartons. And that means I had to open up a new case. That means we've gotten over 100 dozen eggs from our chickens. Now the chickens started laying in November. And so from November, mid-November up until now, that's 100 dozen eggs we've gotten. That's pretty good, especially if you live in California. Your eggs are almost $10 a dozen, And the situation with the avian flu is not going to get any better. It's going to get worse, and eggs are going to keep going up, keep going up. Matter of fact, my brother and I were talking, and he's like, the same thing's going to impact actually poultry, regular chickens. And I said, yeah, if that bird flu, if it keeps spreading, you're going to see chicken shortages. So he's actually going to go buy actually a bunch of whole chickens and just throw them into his deep freezer. It's not a bad idea. So in one of my last videos, actually in the last two videos, I caught a opossum in that trap, and I released him, and then I caught one of my feral cats in that trap. And these are the live traps. Now the live traps, I have a tendency to catch cats and possums quite a bit, so I shut those down because I don't want a cat sitting in there all night long when it's 15 degrees out here. It's not humane. So, but raccoons, I don't give a damn about. I hate raccoons. I just hate them. We have so many of them here. So I am coming out. If you ever need to trap a raccoon and you've got dogs around, I mean, the one thing, that's why we never use leg hold traps. We actually use the dog safe tube traps. So this is my formula that I have found works really well. This is a dog safe tube trap. The raccoon has to dig way down in there to get it, and then it just holds his leg. But I put peanut butter, I put dog food around, and then peanut butter in there. And a lot of people say use anchovies and cat food. I've found that, especially when you start to get some rain and precipitation, you don't fill up that tube, because if you fill up that tube, like with dry dog food, that it will expand and it doesn't work well. The other thing is I found that when you use like anchovies and tuna or whatever, it dries up pretty quick and it gets nasty. That's why I found I put the dog food around it to attract them, and then they really want to go in for that peanut butter. So that works really well for raccoons. Unfortunately, it also works well for skunks. And man, I think I've caught 5 skunks this year. It's just nasty. You don't want to do that because you will stink up your whole property. But basically our ground is frozen here now. This is frozen solid. We don't have a deep frost line here in Georgia. Matter of fact, I don't believe that there's any frost line regulation for burying water pipes or anything. I think it's like 6 inches or something that they want you, minimum 6 inches, but there is no frost line per se here. Man, it's cold out here. Something you want to keep in mind is that they sell these sticky boards that you can just put out the sticky boards, but I've found that you can get into trouble with birds and that kind of stuff. In other words, I don't want little chickadees landing on that board and getting stuck in it. I've seen that before. The nice thing about this cover trap system is that you can put a rubber band around it. Nothing can get in unless it crawls in there. So especially if you're going to put it in a chicken coop or near a chicken coop, you don't have to worry about chickens getting stuck in that board. That'd be a nightmare, because that glue stuff, it just rip all their feathers off. You don't want to cause more problems than solving them. And that's where, like, those tube traps for raccoons, you'll catch. It's one of the few things that I found that the only thing I'm really catching in there is I'm catching mostly raccoons in those tube traps. So I don't want to catch any dogs. I don't want to catch any cats. I don't want to catch any foxes. I'm mainly just catching raccoons in those tube traps. I'll try and find links. I'll put a link to, there's a couple different versions of that box. There's the one that I have, and then they have some more cardboard style ones. You guys, I'll put a link to that one page, and it shows all different kinds. But if you have any mouse problems, man, those things are fantastic. I'm gonna go start a fire. It's freezing out here, man. I'm gonna go kick on the wood stove. You guys have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Doc.